I think I'm going to stop this record and just start over.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, friends. It's me. I'm live. And just a second, I'm going to get you this link, and we will be going and talking a little bit through with our friend Victor Davila, who's one of my favorite people. And let's go ahead and let me grab this link here. There we go. And you're probably hearing me twice right now, so I'm sorry about that. I'm going to hop back over into this Zoom call. We're going to drop this over here. Thanks for coming out, everyone. Hopefully nobody is actually watching this right now, because I don't think they are. There are 5 concurrent viewers, so thanks so much.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Victor, I'm
Why
going to
don't
put
both
you
post it?
up on the screen,
Okay.
and then we will be good to go. 1 second. All right. Close this, minimize this, and all right, everyone. There we are. Cool. Hello, Victor. I'm going to go ahead and put you full screen right here, and you can go ahead and take it away. Oh, let me go ahead and make sure that your audio is turned on. It is. Victor,
Okay.
if you want to mute everyone else or make me a co-host, then I can do that.
I will make you a co-host and mute everybody else.
Wow, what a man of multiple talents.
Okay.
All right, there we go. And Victor, I'm going to go ahead and give you the full screen, and you will be good to go.
All right.
There you go.
Thank
Go for
you. So do we have the link posted to Facebook? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. We'll go edit all this stuff out later. And
Gus is in the chat. Hey, Gus, thanks for coming to hang out.
all right, take 2. Thank you, Andrew, for hooking us up with your YouTube feeds. Hopefully you guys who are on Facebook were able to migrate over and watch us on YouTube. At any rate, we will try to put the video on Facebook after the fact, after we're done. But thanks for joining us in any case. So I'm just going to take it from the top, and then we'll be good to go. So again, welcome, take 2, to the AIGA Orlando April Community Meeting. My name is Victor Davila, and on behalf of the AIGA Orlando Board, I'd like to welcome you to the April Community Meeting. I hope you're all well. I know that we're going through some really troubling times and some tough times right now. But since we're all about community here at AIGA Orlando, we thought it was important to still meet, even if it's virtually, just because even if we're practicing physical distancing, that doesn't mean that we can't come together as a community. So this is usually around the time that I ask people if they've ever been to an AIJ event before. So hopefully if you're watching it online, that means we have a lot of new friends, a lot of new faces that might not only have not come to an AIJ Orlando event before, but haven't been to an AIJ event in general at all. I know we have a lot of family and friends probably joining us tonight that always wonder what we do when we go to AIJ Orlando events. So just a little recap. AIGA is a professional association for design. Our mission in Orlando is to create a community where creativity thrives for everyone. And we have this long-standing belief that together we can do amazing things. And our 3 chapter goals are to nurture creative empowerment, to prove creative impact, and to unite people. So everything we do is with one of these 3 missions in mind, one of these 3 tenets, or hopefully all 3 of those things in mind, and that we can apply to all our events. AIGA Orlando is one of 75 chapters around the country. We have over 25,000 members. I mean, that's probably closer to 30,000 members now. And the nice thing about belonging to a group like AIGA is that if you find yourself in a different city, either visiting or you happen to move there, and they happen to have a chapter as well, then you can immediately kind of like find yourself among like-minded people. You're already within your community. And Florida has a distinction along with Texas of having the most chapters of any state. We have 6 chapters in our state. Along with Orlando, we also have Tallahassee, Gainesville, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and Miami. So if you just happen to be taking a Florida road trip and you find yourself in one of those cities, please stop by and say hi because they have amazing chapters. Um, I'd like to give a big thank you to Credo Conduit. So we're not there. We would be there if we weren't going virtual. I downloaded a picture from their Facebook page to make my virtual environment because I miss them that much. And I miss Mike Forrest, who's always our host there, our generous host. And but even though we're not there, I did want to give them a shout out because they're always a partner and they had agreed to be a part of our event tonight. So we still wanted to say thank you to Credo Conduit and Mike Forrest. Let's go a little bit on past events. So in early March, we had our Wellness by Design event, which was put together by our own board member, Anna McCambridge. And that was an amazing day of wellness thinking, not only mind, body, and spirit, but also like financial wellness. So if you were there as an attendee, thank you for joining us. If you were there as a speaker or a presenter, thank you for joining us. We had yoga instructors, we had chefs preparing food, we had we had a podcast going on that day. We had somebody from Ayanna Campbell Smith from Ohio talking to us about financial wellness. So it was an amazing day of creativity and wellness. So here are a few of our slides. And then I also want to thank Mari Briqueño, who was going to be our speaker tonight, but we are going to reschedule her soon so that we can do kind of like a face-to-face event with her. So Mari, thank you for at least agreeing, and we hope to see you soon in the real world, so to speak. We have a few upcoming events that I want you to be aware of, and hopefully you can join us. We are in full-fledged of the mentorship program, and actually is going to be ending this Saturday, which would be Saturday the 11th. So the spot showcase, this information here is a little bit wrong because we had to move our spot showcase to the week after on the 18th, and we are going to go all virtually. And the students have been working really hard, and we're trying to create an environment for them so that hard work doesn't go isn't in vain. So what we're going to be doing is on the 11th, they're going to be turning in their work, and we are going to be putting them in a Behance, the Behance platform. And throughout the week between the 11th and the 18th, you will be able to still to be looking at their presentations. They have been working really hard for the past 5 or 6 months with their mentors to try to come up with these presentations. And you'll be able to read. You'll be able to see a video of what their goals were for this particular presentation, for this particular project. And you'll be able to see a little video, and you'll also be able to vote. So appreciate it through Behance, and those votes will generate the People's Choice Award. So we're still going to have a People's Choice Award. We're still going to have the Best in Choice Award, and we're still going to have the sponsor awards as well. So we're going to try to keep it as real as if we were actually in our venue, but we're going to go into the virtual atmosphere. So for that whole week, you'll be voting, you'll be seeing their work. And then on the 18th, we will be having a virtual spot showcase. And we're happy to announce that our speaker for the virtual spot showcase is the amazing Debbie Millman. Debbie Millman, most of you in the creative world will be able to, you will recognize her name. She's the president emeritus of AIGA National. She is the host of Design Matters, which makes my commute every morning so much easier. And she's the chair of NPS Branding Department at the School of Visual Arts in New York, amongst a zillion other things that she does. So I invite you to join us. We're going to be streaming that as well. Right now, the plan is Facebook Live. So if it doesn't work, we'll go to Plan B just like we did today. And so please join us for that to be able to hear a little bit from Debbie Millman. So we thank her for joining us on that night. All right. So tonight, I'm really happy to introduce our speaker for the night. And you know, the thing with going virtual is that you have to take advantage of what virtual means, and that means today is that we get to have somebody coming in, joining us from beautiful Southern California, right? So you might know our speaker from Creative South or the many other events that he has emceed. You might know him most recently for putting on the amazing CancelCon virtual conference this past Saturday and Sunday. And or you might know him as a teacher or the amazing designer that he is. So I'd like to introduce, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Andrew can go ahead and share his. But
I'll just take over. I am in control now.
Andrew Hochradel. There we go.
Let's see if I can get this same face. Here we go.
Are you sharing the screen?
I tried. I'm controlling it on my end now. It's plugged in through my system. Victor, look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. All right. Hey everyone. Welcome. I don't know, welcome back to my channel. I don't know what to say here. I guess that's the case. Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to see you here. Hello, my name is Andrew Hochradel. If we haven't met, I'm looking over at chat over here to make sure that I absolutely nailed that pose because it's a little bit behind. But if you haven't met me, my name's Andrew Hochradel. Right up here, you can just call me Hoch. It's H-O-C-H, very German. I'm on social. Yes.
Can I interrupt you real quick? Can you share your screen so we can have it on video? So can you share it to the Zoom as well?
Oh, can I share it to the Zoom as well? You know, Victor, that's a great question. Let's see if I can do that. At
the bottom, that little green arrow.
Maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Let's share screen. Sure, you can just see my screen. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. I've never done this. I'm controlling my OBS straight into YouTube for you, chat, and then also controlling the Zoom to a separate little thing. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do, hello, look at all these people in chat, 50 people. Hi. My mom's hopefully here. I sent her some links. If not, someone tag her. All right. I'm just going to hop in here and I'm going to go into presentation mode. Yes, look at all these warnings because this is an almost legit. All right. Cool. I'll float up in the corner there. Let's go to my screen so that you guys can see that. And I think that we are ready to go. All right, cool. So yes, my name is Andrew Hochradel. I go by hoch.co on social media. I did do CancelCon this weekend. I talked a whole bunch. This is my Florida shirt. I wasn't sure, but this felt like Florida to me, so I wanted to make sure that I brought that in. Here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be talking a whole bunch, and I'm going to be talking about my views on creativity. And this is meant to be very inspiring to you, to hopefully be a little introspective, to think about how you view creativity in general. And then I also will be touching a little bit on CancelCon and how that factors into the way that I approach creativity. If you see me looking over to the side, I have my monitor over here with chat. So if I get quiet and just look over this way, I'm looking at all of your beautiful faces coming through in chat. Have a good sleep, Ash. Good night. Hi, Raymond. Cool. So I don't know. Let's hop right in. So I go by hoch.co. My website is hoch.co. If you want to check it out, you can go there. It has all of my current initiatives. I'll talk about this a little bit, but I like to call myself a creative for hire. I'm in Southern California, and I'm a creative for hire because I do a lot of things. I do anything that I think is creative. And if you see on my website, I will have my current initiatives with the MC 2020 campaign, with CancelCon, with my shop, with some of my live events, and then somewhere on there you can see my branding and design work. I like to just throw it all to the wall and see what sticks. So if you're not familiar or haven't seen, this is what some of my work looks like. And yes, somebody noticed, they said, call me by your name. In the bottom right-hand corner, there are some phrases. That's just for you. If you get bored of whatever slide I'm on and you're like, ugh, where's this guy going? Just look in the bottom right corner and that'll give you a guide to what the next slide is. And usually the titles are more fun than the actual slide. So this is some more of my work. This is a project I did for my birthday last year, for my 30th birthday. I'm turning 31 in just over a week, and I'm going to be doing some addition to this project. But you can check it out at mydirty30.com. An amazing photographer named Alex Casillas took these photos. I got to art direct and kind of paint myself and do all kinds of weird stuff. But I paired it 30 portraits with 30 confessions from 30 years of my life. So you can check out that project at mydirty30.com. All right, so this talk is called What the Why and How It Matters. What the Why and How It Matters. It's about creativity and how I view creativity. And if you were at CancelCon this weekend, think about the things that I'm saying and your experience from CancelCon, and hopefully it will start to unpack for you a little bit of the intentionality and the thought that went into it. If you weren't at CancelCon this weekend, that's fine. This talk is about general creativity, and hopefully it applies to your practice. So like the bottom right-hand corner says, next is a slide that just says creativity. And creativity. There it is. I didn't lie. I'm being truthful here. And I think creativity is this big ethereal kind of in space thing that we have, right? That somebody's like, why did you make this decision? Or like, why are you doing that thing? And as creatives, we kind of just answer creativity, right? And we're like, we try to sell it as if it's a thing, but like really in our brain, we're going like, creativity? I don't know, like, is it creativity? Is it, how much creative is it? And so I think we're going to unpack that question, the question of creativity. And I'm going to do it in a couple steps. We're going to go in sections. We're going to talk about why, we're going to talk about what, and we're going to talk about how. So if you're taking notes, don't. Just watch this on YouTube later, honestly. Or you can say things in chat and make new friends. So let's jump into the first section. And that is the question of... What? That's my favorite clip on the internet, by the way. What? We're going to talk about what. What is creativity? And what I like to think about, and I don't know what your beliefs are, if you believe that like God gave us creativity, if it exploded into the universe, if it just exists, if it's like aligned powers, whatever it is, creativity exists, right? That it is, this gift has been given to us, right? And so what I think, and this is going to be a bold statement, and it's like borderline heresy, like it probably is, but here's my bold statement. I'm going to get close as I say this. Gordon Ramsay is your God. Okay, it's a bold. I know we're in a zone where we're like, that's uncomfortable. That feels weird. Hey, Shauna. Yes. So bold statement. And then I had to distract with looking at chat so that you guys didn't eat me alive. I just want to make sure I wasn't getting canceled. So yes, Gordon Ramsay is your God, right? There he is, our sweet Lord and Savior of creativity. And here's the comparison that I'm about to make that will make this much less heretical. I think that creativity is something that has been given to us or that has existed in the universe. It is something that is overarching. And Gordon Ramsay, if you've ever seen any of his shows like MasterChef or like any of his cooking shows, the thing that's interesting to me is always the pantry. And I make this point that Gordon Ramsay is your God because wherever creativity comes from, it's like what Gordon Ramsay does with his creative pantry. If you ever watch the show, he says, hey, you have 60 seconds to go shop, go. Right? And these people run into this gorgeous pantry, right? That has everything that you've ever seen. Every element that you need is in this pantry. And that's what life is like, right? And that's why I say that your God is Gordon Ramsay, because whatever it is like Gordon Ramsay. He's saying, hey, you're on this earth, right? I have the most amazing creative things for you to use, to unpack, to figure out how to use. You have 60 seconds or like 80 years to take whatever you want out of this creative pantry and to turn it into whatever you want to create, right? So creativity is like cooking, and the chef is Gordon Ramsay, giving us the ingredients that we need to make our delicious creative dishes. So let's hop in here. 61 of you guys. Hi. Hello. Hello, friends. Anna. Hi. I'm going to try to go. I think this is a little bit of a long talk, but we'll go through it. If you get bored, just, I don't know, ping me in chat. Cool. So as we build those creative dishes, we take elements, right? We take elements that exist in the world, that are in the creative pantry around us, and we start to combine them. But if you've seen Gordon Ramsay taste things, or any chef, any good chef, as they're making things, they're constantly tasting. They have these spoons and they're constantly tasting because they're trying to understand the flavors, right? If they have a dish they haven't seen before, they want to take a bite and understand the flavors. So imagine that I serve you a gorgeous, delicious mac and cheese, right? And you taste it and you're like, okay, there's breadcrumbs. There's maybe some dill for some reason. There's like Gruyere cheese. There's some goat cheese in there, a little bit of cheddar. You start to pick apart what are the individual parts of the whole. And as creatives, I think it's best represented from the scene from Ratatouille. Right? So there's a scene where Lenny takes his name's Lenny? Yeah, his name's Lenny. Takes a bite of cheese, and you see this one element happen, right? I wish I had cheese because I could totally do this. Like, yes. So he takes a bite and a reaction happens, right? This is one element. So think of it as a creative pantry. This is adding a ellipse to our artboard. right? But then what happens when he takes a bite of a strawberry and a piece of cheese together, right? It's this explosion. And so for us as creatives, that translates to maybe it's an ellipse with a radial gradient in it, right? And you put those together and it explodes into something. So creativity to me is all about using this creativity, using the creative pantry and taking those elements to put them together to make something that is gorgeous and beautiful and delicious. So just like you have to understand the flavors to make the dish, you have to understand the layers so you can make that ish. So make sure that, yes, this is all delicious. I have to eat second dinner. Yes. So you have to understand the layers so that you can make what you want. As creatives, you need to be able to understand what are the elements at my disposal and how can I put them together and take them apart to create something that is new and interesting. All right. Moving on. I actually don't know where I'm going, so I'm just going to roll with whatever this next slide is. It says get in my belly, and I'm not sure what that means, so let's find out together. Great. Creativity is a pantry. Make that gumbo. That's the point that I was making. I want you to put all those things that are in your creative pantry, the different elements that you have learned and gained, and especially students that are watching, try to unpack things that you see that you like and figure out why you like it and what elements are being used that make you like it. Then reuse those elements once they're in your pantry to make that delicious creative gumbo. All right. So we have that. That's the what for me. Now, moving on with creativity, that's like, cool. Okay, so it's a pantry. We're putting things together to make a dish. Cool, but why?
Why?
These are my favorite videos, just amalgamated for you guys. Why? So this is the existential crisis of design, right? Why? Why do we design? Why does creativity matter? And I'm going to go through, and this is going to break down into 3 different sections because I think it's really important for us as creatives to understand the why behind the how, right? Like, I don't care how you make something at this point. I've seen enough tutorials. I've seen enough, like, do this and try that. I want to know why. I want to know why this exists and what you're trying to say. So here are the points that I'm trying to make. HWY. I love spelling Y, HWY. Why? All right. So the first point that I try to make with why creativity matters is this. Creative changes things. Hi, friends in chat. Creativity changes things. And we're going to look at some examples of this. And this is where I started to change some things in this. So we might get a little bit, oh, no. Okay, cool. So creativity changes things. I adapted this to what's happening right now because I think we wanted to examine this point in a current circumstance. And we'll talk about that at the end, actually. Is this idea that creativity changes things, and that's why it matters. That's part of why it matters. And I think right now, let's think about in our heads what's going on. What do we see all day? In that bottom right-hand corner is a clue, and it literally is just that, right? I'm about to go to a slide, and you might get triggered by some of these headlines that are coming in. So it's just going to be a whole bunch of news headlines. Shocking news headlines at that. I'm sorry. I totally baited you into that. Right? All we're thinking about right now is shocking news headlines. And that's hard, right? It's hard. And I think that the point that I'm trying to make in that creativity changes things is that we're surrounded by shocking news headlines. It is stressful. People are kind of cooped up and restless and so focused on this. And this is where we start to talk about canceled con. I was talking with some friends and had the idea, like, what if I did a 1-day stream? Let's just go for it. Like, let's just put something out there and make it happen. So we put something out there and it started to build and it became something that people latched onto. I think that it's very important in times like these that people either rally to have something to rally together or against. And I saw an opportunity to create a tent pole that people could see and gather together and rally together for something that was positive, for something that was inspirational. And so I think it happened. Right? We're used to being flooded by these shocking headlines, and through the power of creativity, I defined the why. Why do I need to be creative with this? Because people need somewhere to escape. People need to change what is around them, right? They don't need these shocking news headlines flying around in their head. They need a change of that pace. And I think with CanceledCon, we did that. I got messages like, I was so inspired, I opted to be a carpenter for the day, albeit my client was a squirrel who will not be able to provide feedback, but basically the perfect client. Thanks again, which I think is so cool. And that proves the point that using creativity changes things. Instead of sitting on the couch and thinking about all the things that were going wrong, instead of paying attention to the news, this person, Kat, got up, was inspired to build a little squirrel house, a little bird house for a squirrel. And the squirrel is going to get shelter from that and sustenance from that. Maybe that squirrel will go out and it will contribute to the environment. Maybe it will help the spread of acorns into trees, and then a new forest will build up, right? You never know the effect of what creativity will do, but creativity changes things. Also, we trended in the United States, right? It was among a whole bunch of negative trends, and I saw us there and freaked out. And I was like, that's it. We have accomplished the goal of defining the why, and we have taken away some of those shocking news headlines to allow people to experience something that is based on community. Next slide. Cool. So the next point that I want to make is that creativity creates checkpoints. And the thing that I always use the example is in Men in Black. There's a scene where they go in and they shoot the alien guy in like the pawn shop, and his like head explodes, and then it grows back, and he's like, "Do you have any idea how much that stings?" That was an exact representation. And then Jay walks back outside, and Kay walks out, and he goes, What are you doing? You're looking for a handle on the moment." And right at that moment, this bike rides by that's like full of Christmas lights. And to me, that was something that clicked, that the creativity of that set decorator gave me something to connect to. Like, that's the first time I'd ever seen an alien like in a show like that. Like, this is the first time Kay's having this realization that aliens are real, and they wanted to give him a checkpoint for his mind to go back to. All right. So friends in chat, this is actually going to be really fun. So friends in chat, what sound does this image make? What sound does this image make? This is something that is the perfect example, I think, that creativity creates a checkpoint. You're a little bit behind me, but I'm just going to stall a little bit. During this time, while I'm talking and catching up in chat, just say hi to a friend. When I'm waiting for answers, there's a little delay. So while you're watching this and me waiting, say hello to a friend in chat. Make a new connection. Somebody give Doc a hug. All right, answers are coming in. Pow, king, kapow, pow, xylophone, kapow, bang. Yes. Gloosh, kablam. Yes, so this is a visual onomatopoeia that it does give that energy. But to me, this is a visual checkpoint. And this is something, and I'm actually like kind of sad. Some people are getting it, but I feel old whenever I do this because to me, this is a creative checkpoint, and I know I see this image and it makes this sound. It goes, right? It sounds like this. Right? And that is something that takes me back to being a kid. It takes me back to sitting on a Saturday morning and eating my cereal. And it's something that is literally a pointless image. It literally is like a starburst with like some bears in the background, right? But it was a creative decision that at the beginning of every Rugrats episode, someone had made that creative decision to put it in there, and it gives me something in my head to be able to go back to a moment in time. So sometimes your design doesn't matter. Don't look at the slide yet. Sometimes your design doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be good. Sometimes it can totally suck, but as long as you give people something that's like a coat hanger to hang their hat on with a memory, that's all you need, is that creativity creates checkpoints for people to hang some kind of life experience or emotional response on. Cool. How are we doing, chat? We're doing good. Love it. I know. Yes, Jonathan, we're back. Jonathan's still a mod in here. Thanks, Jonathan. So creativity informs what is to come. This is the next point, and this is something that I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of CanceledCon. As I was creating CanceledCon, I got to start doing the branding on Adobe Live. I love doing branding. You can see some of my branding work at HOCH.co. There's a tiny little link because I don't like to show it off a lot. But I love to do branding, and a lot of times my branding is very clean and refined and communicative to the point. And so we created this mark, and I started creating some promotional materials that was like type and some color. And I realized that it was starting to take off because, one, I think people needed something to rally around. And two, because I think people had seen and been like, oh, maybe this is like this professional conference, like somebody's going to be working on online. And I actually realized that my creativity had done a bad job at informing what was to come. I think we got 3,000 or 4,000 RSVPs. People were asking questions about like who's going to be on, what times, schedules. And I was kind of getting bombarded with things that I realized these are questions that you would ask a professional conference. These are questions that you would ask someone who knew what they were doing. And I need to inform people through creativity of what CanceledCon's actually going to be like. Because if you don't, people will have what are called cognitive barriers. They'll think, I know what an online webinar looks like. It's going to be that. I'm familiar with the idea of an online format, but it's not going to be that. I had to overcome those cognitive barriers, and I realized that I needed to inform that through creativity. With live streaming, yes, I can quit whatever I want. I swear, I'm addicted to live streaming. It's true. And so the turn that I made to help inform what was to come is I knew that me and doing CanceledCon, it's just a lot of personality here. Like sometimes it's professional, sometimes the work is like okay, but I know I'm like 70% personality and 30% like execution. And so I wanted to make people understand and meet me and know, hey, I'm going to inform you what is to come with CanceledCon through creativity. And so I put out this. That's not the slide I thought it was, but I started to put out, these social images. And I wanted to literally help to directly address, this is not the buttoned up professional conference. It's the best canceled event ever. It's your first choice and second choices. Using a photo of myself to introduce myself to people, to leverage creativity to know, okay, this is not a serious event. If you're getting an ad on Instagram or you're seeing it randomly, you understand, okay, this is gonna be a little goofy and a little out there, and just a tiny bit wonky. And then I put out this video to help people really understand and inform them what was to come. You know what? My dad is calling me right now, and I'm just going to answer it live on, hold on. Hey, Dad, you're live on my live stream. Hey, you're live on my live stream right now.
Hold on.
We're doing this, guys. You're live on my live stream right now, Dad. Guys, I left my father. Hey, I'm live on my live stream right now. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Oh, hello, everyone. This is Dad.
There you go, Father. I sent you the YouTube link if you want to watch and hop into chat.
All right, will do.
All right,
Bye.
bye. Also, always listen to your parents. That's a creative tip. All right, so sorry. So I started to inform people of what was to come, and so I put out this video. And so to break that down, don't read this slide yet. To break that down, I think I want to give you guys a little look into my brain when I'm doing things like this for CanceledCon. So I started out that I wanted to inform people this is going to be one guy in his bedroom. This is not going to be a professional conference. It is literally me sitting in my bedroom. I want it to be informal, and I wanted to introduce them to the shot that they would be seeing on screen. Next, I knew that I wanted to transition and let people know I am joking, I am cheeky, I am like totally out there and not serious at all. So we transition to the little like wink thing that I did with my eyebrow because I knew that I wanted to tell people, hey, this is me. It's just a guy hanging out in his room, but there's a little surprise, right? I wanted to give them that. And then if you turned into CancelCon, it was nothing like that video, actually. I wanted to go so far into the extreme to inform people that this was what was to come, because they needed to know it's not going to be this professional thing that you might think. I'm going to push it into the extreme so that when you come, you understand that it's somewhere in between a guy sitting in his room and shooting off confetti cannons and dancing like a madman with lights on, right? That it's in between that. So I tried to use creativity to inform them what was to come with CanceledCon. So that's a little thing into the noggin. And I think that a lot of people will see the video and be like, that was fun, that was super crazy, that was good dancing. But I try to talk about the behind the scenes because it hopefully inspires you as designers to think of being intentional and design as creative information to people, right? We're not just entertaining them, we are giving them information constantly. So next, I'm actually just going to look at chat real quick because it's going bonkers. I think they're just talking. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know. I knew that my dad called. I love him. All right. So next up, and the third point is creativity creates a context for content. This was literally the entirety of what CanceledCon was. It was an idea of a context that a familiar content was plugged into and readapted. So the, oops, let's see what the next slide is here. Oops. There we go. So CanceledCon, the content is a conference, right? That I'm a part of the planning team for Creative South, which is one of the best conferences ever. Please go to Creative South. And we're familiar with a conference as content. And once all these conferences started getting canceled, the context of a conference has always been the content of the conference. And Creative South does a really great job at changing that context, whether it's a imagination of a circus or it's the 8-bit that we did last year, or it's the family reunion. The context changes around something familiar. And so I knew we need to keep the content of speakers and the general vibe of a conference, but changing the context means that we can get away with other things. We can play pre-roll videos. We can have moments where my mic is completely muted and I'm not talking. We can bring on people randomly through webcams. We can do all this and we can start to adapt to internet culture as the context for this familiar content of a conference. So very easily, Disney's the best that does this. Disney has a great quote that says, everything works in Disneyland because wherever you're standing, you can look 360 degrees and everything makes sense. They've created a context for the content, right? That Tomorrowland has never changed. The context has always been Tomorrowland, but in there you can see that there have been a ton of different rides. There have been different costumes, different employees. The content can change and shift, but the context never changes. And so now the last question, I'm trying to power through. How are we doing, chat? We doing good? We holding on? We're making time? Yes, love it. All right, we're getting there. So the next one is the other side of why, right? And I talked about this earlier. I don't really care about how as much as I care about the why, but the how is still important. And just like it's the other side of the why, right? We have the why and the how is the other side. I realized that if I reverse this clip, he actually says,
Ow! 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 Ow!
Right? It's crazy. It made my point so well and so accidentally. So the next we're going to talk about is how. And this is my bold statement that you can tweet or you can do whatever you want with. Don't allow yourself to fail. And I know that you're like, but sometimes things are hard and like, I can't do it. That's fine. Don't allow yourself to fail. Set a goal. And at a certain point, you have to decide one of two things, right? You have a goal set. And you have to figure out how to get there, right? And this is how you accomplish your goals. This is how you allow yourself not to fail. You either increase your effort or you compromise your goal, right? Either increase your effort or compromise your goal. You either try harder and you come out triumphant of something that you didn't think you knew how to do, or you compromise your goal and then you end up disappointed that you've compromised and you're like, well, I guess I didn't do it. And there's a 3-step process of how I get to do this. And this is actually, I think, my last point. We'll see what happens. There might be more slides. Who knows? I use these 3 steps to make sure that I accomplish the goal that I set forward. And again, I'm not saying that every time in this process, I'm like, I'll just increase my effort and I'll get it. Sometimes I'm like, cool, I'm going to have to compromise my goal. So an idea that we had for Canceled Con was I was going to try to make playlists that would sync up with videos if you started them at a certain time. So it'd be a countdown video that would go like, start this song in 3, 2, 1, and then it would be silent on stream, but you would be playing the song as the soundtrack. That was a goal that I had for the entire time until the night before. And I said, all right, it's time to compromise my goals because I need to figure out how to get this done, right? Sometimes the how is totally fine to say, I need to compromise my goals and edit stuff out because it's not going to happen. And if my how is affecting the why, then it's totally off kilter. You need to say, why am I doing this? To bring people together. Does not having a playlist not bring people together? No. So I need to compromise my goal so that I can reach the why every single time. So this is my three-part journey into accomplishing goals creatively. I do 3 things. I examine the past, I consider the present, and I create the future. This is what happened with Canceled Con. I examine the past. What's happened in the past? Tons of conferences have had tons of speakers. There's a known format that works. People have always had swag bags at conferences. They have openings at conferences, right? There are things that have happened in the past for so long that people are familiar with, and they know this is what a conference is. Next, we consider the present. And considering the present, to me, is, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the present right now. Is considering the present, figuring out what's happening. All these conferences are getting canceled. Okay, got it. They're getting canceled or postponed. All right, in my brain, everything's getting canceled or postponed. And then the next step is create the future, right? I started thinking, okay, what if I did a one-day stream that was just like people hang out and we start to accomplish this goal of somehow bringing people together, right? In the past, we've done it this way. In the present, we can't do it that way. So how do we adapt it to create something in the future that we can continue to do? And I remember I talked with the Creative South team. I was like, what if I did a one-day live stream? I was like, that'd be super fun. And then I talked to the friend. I bought the domains for Postponed Con. I had Postponed Con. And then my friend Ben Stafford in another chat was like, what if you called it Canceled Con? And I was like, let me see if I can get the domains. And I got them and I was like, that's it. Community and collaboration is something that you invest into. And at a certain point, you need to withdraw, and that withdrawal comes out with interest. And that's what happened. These communities that I had been investing to in the past met me in the present and saw the problem and the goal that we were trying to accomplish, and they helped me to create the future. So yes, thank you to everyone who helped out with CancelCon, especially mods. Hello, mods in there. Hi, mods. I see you. Love you. Oh, hey, James Cameron. James Cameron, like the James Cameron, is in the waiting room of the meeting. I don't know if we want to let you in, but sorry, James. Get out of my screen. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. So I want to walk you through a project that I worked on that I'm super proud of that hopefully gets you an idea of who I am as a creative. And this is not something that I'm like, this is my design work. That's branding. This is stuff that I do for me. I think there are 2 things. Work is what you do for hours. Art is what you do for yourself. One of my favorite quotes. And this is something that I did for myself. I think art is something that I do for me, but I let other people watch, if that makes sense. It's cathartic and helps me understand. So this is my little masterclass in adapting content to context by examining the past, considering the present, and creating the future. This is a piece from Hannah Hawk. She worked in the Dada movement, doing a lot of photo collage, a lot of this kind of putting a bunch of pieces together. And the ideals of the Dada movement were shock and awe, to destroy something that was existing to create it into something new. The exact kind of way of my process of looking at something that is and then restructuring it to create something new. And so she had torn apart all these eyes, created this very jarring composition. And I thought, I used to work at a church, and we had a project that we would have to do Easter every year, right? You've seen churches do Easter. And I had done, this was my 5th Easter campaign. And if you can imagine whatever project you're working on right now, and it needs to be like the best branding you've ever done, imagine doing that same thing without any of the content changing 8 years in a row, right? It gets a little daunting to say, how do we invent something new? And the easiest way to do that is to shift the context, right? If someone hands you a mirror ball, don't paint the ball, decorate the room around it. And so that's really what content is. You got this mirror ball, change the context up. So I started to... Okay, sorry. So I started to work on this project and know the content is the Easter story. How do we change the context? And I thought the values and the why of the Easter story talk a lot about all of creation, like being torn apart and put back together in a new way, right? In the story, it's a very pinnacle point of humanity, that it's this moment that everything stopped, was then completely changed and put back together in a way that we had never seen or experienced before, right? And I was like, oh, it's totally the Dada movement. What happens if we take the Easter story and slam it into the Dada movement? We started to get work like this. I started to look back into old public domain images, old things that are in the Library of Congress, illustrations, and started to pull things apart to think, how can I take these images that have been created in the past that represent all of creation, that represent the pieces that we experience as humans, tear them apart and put them back together to tell this Easter story in a way we've never seen before, right? And it's little elements and things like those cognitive barriers we talked about that you can start to exploit, right? I'm taking pieces from my creative pantry and saying, okay, I want the background to be like a curtain, right? That it's hiding, or the show is just about to start, right? And then we have these hands that we know from the story that have the piercings, but the apples, people think of maybe the apple in the Garden of Eden, that it is sin being there, right? And so it's taking these cognitive associations that you know people have and figuring out how to twist and exploit them, right? That maybe it's instead of using Gruyere cheese, we're using some kind of mascarpone, right? That you switch it out and you can take that and people know, okay, I'm about to get cheese. Oh, but mascarpone, right? It's a little twist that has a new experience, and that's what I'm doing with the Creative Pantry here. We created pieces like this that were the depiction of Jesus on the cross, the crown of thorns being things that are pointed. We have a saber-toothed tiger in there, lots of forks and angelfish, swordfish, and showing the elements of, even in the bottom, the lion and the lamb. I'm taking inventory again of what are people used to experiencing these flavors as, and how can I twist them and change them on both sides, right? Of putting all the snakes behind, representing, again, Garden of Eden, sin, the snake, the serpent kind of like tempting, and taking all these things that don't really mean much, but are associated to things that then can be put together to mean much, right? So that is examining the past, considering the present, and creating the future. I think I have another slide. Let's see. Oh, yes. So this is one of my favorite pictures of all time. This is the piece I did. We printed that on wood, and I love this picture because to me, it's the exact experience that as an artist, this is the why. This is the why I did it happening in exact sequence. Is that I wanted people, why? I wanted them to feel the hurt. I wanted them to feel something that was different. I wanted them to experience the story differently than they had seen it, right? I think that a lot of people have heard the Easter story, that thousands and thousands of churches tell the Easter story every year. But this is something that, to me, shows someone having a new experience with that, that's intrigued, that it's different, that it's new, that they want to experience it, but still it's not familiar enough to be fully accessible, right? Where it's something that you maybe shouldn't interact with, that you shouldn't reach out. And I didn't care that he was touching it. Like 100%, if that's how you're going to experience it. And so I love the contrast that happened here. And I saw this photo and I was like, this is it. This is exactly why all of those elements were put together for this moment, for this experience to happen. The intentionality as a creative and as a designer was paying off on the other side. And it's kind of that affirmation of, I have created a dish that is for the audience that I want to serve it to. So this is my final charge to you, all you students out there. I'm going to be old. I'm turning 31 next week, and I'm going to be older eventually. And here's the thing. I want you to I'm like selfishly telling you all of these things and these principles because I want you to take them and apply them, right? You are going to examine the past. You're consider your present, and you are going to create your future, which will be very different than mine. Right? We're all having individual experiences, and one day I'll be old and not creating things maybe, and I'll be living in a future that you're creating. And so I'm tired of seeing trends and like all this stuff that's kind of like riding waves and trying to be relevant. I would much rather have you define relevant, and as creatives define what is relevant, right? That as a designer, I went full-time freelance 8 or 9 months ago, and I came to the realization, okay, if I'm going to do freelance, my strength is, like I said earlier, 70% personality and 30% work. Like I can do okay work, but I know that my strength is in personality and being able to be a showman, being able to entertain people and help them escape. And so I knew going in, okay, cool. If I am going to do my best to define something, I know that I need to lean into the strengths that I have, right? And so with Canceled Con, I realized, okay, to define what's relevant, no one knows what the next thing is and what is relevant. I don't know how I can help this. I don't know what I can do, but I know what I have to give, and I'm going to go in with reckless abandon and give all that I have to that so that I can hopefully define what is about to be relevant, right? Define the future. So I went all in, and I thought, I can do this. I can sit there for 2 days. I know that I can manage talking for 2 days, sitting at my computer, talking to people that I love that are creative, and decided to jump in full head. And that's what you have to do, is you have to look full-faced and say, this is what my strength is. This is what needs to happen. This is the why. Let's go define what's relevant. And again, CancelCon is something we had 18,000 people watch on the first day, which is totally insane. Our reach went into the millions on social media. We trend in the United States, and it's all because we were trying to define relevant, and I think we did it. So with that, I know this is like a weird thing to say at the end of a talk like this, but chat, if you would please let me A your Q. Let me go ahead and answer some questions for you. So chat, if you have anything in there, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this back to Victor. Victor, do you want to take back over the screen and say hello? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, I just muted you. I'm so sorry.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. That was great. So we're going to be taking questions from the chat. Are you okay?
What? Yeah, no, I put it full screen to put you up there, and it's literally just my face. I was so shocked. Can you highlight yourself?
Yeah. I'll unspotlight you.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
Oh, praise him.
All right. So we're going to be taking some questions off of chat.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, let's do that now. Steven Overturf asked, how do you level up as an artist?
Okay. Oh, I can switch back. This is actually going to be cool because I can put your face full screen and then switch to my face full screen. So hello, everyone. I think leveling up as an artist, I think that you have to fail. Like you have to fail really big and really hard. And not that you're like, I'm going to fail and like learn lessons and get back up and like move on. Like some of the things that your biggest failures personally are the things that are most interesting to other people, right? That like, so like this My Dirty 30 project, I always like plug it and bring it up because I feel like it like didn't do what I wanted it to. I was like, cool, this is something that's going to like level me up as an artist. Like this is going to be something that like breaks me into like the gallery scene and start to be seen as like a fine artist. And like it didn't do any of that, but it's something that I'm like, cool, I took a shot. And for me, that leveled me up as an artist, even though like societally or whatever, it didn't accomplish that goal. And I realized that I was weighing this idea of success over happiness. And I thought, cool, I was actually really happy with this project, even though it wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be. And that's, I think, where you need to kind of measure yourself. Steven? That was Steven, yes. Is don't try to level up in the eyes of other people's perception of you. Level up yourself, like for yourself.
Perfect. And then Doc asks if you would do it again. And the question to that, we already know.
Yes, I would do it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm trying to figure out what the details are. I want to make it like a ticketed event in the future and try to like really step up the production of it, be able to like pay staff and stuff. It was like a crazy investment with a lot of people. And I think, yeah, having some budget will be nice. But again, that's the thing. And going back to understanding where your strengths are. Like I knew that I could like physically do this. I knew that I could mentally do it. And I've been very blessed with freelance lately. And I'm like, yeah, I can buy a ton of new camera equipment. I can like hook things up. I can mail out all the posters that I'm going to be sending out. I'm going to send out like 100 posters. And I'm like, yeah, I can totally handle that because I know this is what I have to give. So I can't just be like here and there. Like you have to go all in if you're going to do it. Or as my mother says, if you're going to do it, do it.
And it's going to happen again.
Yep.
Ryan Pesh says, I would say that Canceled Con is very successful. With the impact of virtual conference, how do you think it will impact physical conferences after we can meet again in person?
Oh, I don't care.
Do you think you've made an impact? Do you think it's going to change anything of what's been done before?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't think I really, and not to like dismiss your question, but I don't think I know. And I don't think I really care because the goal that we set forward was to create a space for community to come together when they can't be together. And there will always be a place for that. Like there's no way that all of the people that were at CanceledCon can be together at the same place. And so I think that the goal is different from conferences that are a location and then conferences that could be online like CanceledCon. And I think like just comparing like between what Creative South is and what CanceledCon was, they're completely different, had a lot of the same audience, but the goals were different. So it kind of shifted.
Okay, perfect. Marie, I don't know if it says Marla or Maria, I can't tell from here. Marla Dawn, this is a question I think of a lot of us have been wondering, how to keep up your energy, enthusiasm, voice to talk for over 12 hours straight for 2 days in a row. Because you were pretty much, we compared it to like the Jerry Lewis telethon. It was like Jerry on the screen all the time. For those of you who can remember what the Jerry Lewis telethon was.
Yeah.
But how do you feel? How did you get through it?
Yeah, I think this is going to sound so cheesy, but it really is the chat. And it really is that creative exchange of, hey, world, here's this goal that I'm trying to accomplish. You guys into that? And then seeing the constant feedback and the constant interactions of like, cool, people are on this journey to this goal with me. And I know that we're not going to hit the goal until the end of day 2 when I'm 26 hours into streaming, but being able to see people walking with me along to that, to be like, we're going to this goal, we're going to this goal, we're going to this goal, and then hit it and then be like, cool, I did the goal. I'm so tired. My throat is sore, but I know that I could put that in. And so I had to keep putting that in so that we could reach that goal. And I use that same idea with clients. If they're like, I want it to be green. And I'm like, I hear that and I hear your concern, but the goal that we are working toward together is for this to be more trustworthy, and using green feels like maybe we're asking for money. So let's use blue instead to help accomplish that goal. And that just helps lead clients. And it helped me through the 2 days.
Okay, good. That's a good way to think about it. Never thought of it. Emily says, do you give yourself timelines on passion projects, or how do you keep the motivation to keep working on them? Which sounds like very similar to what you might have been talking about too with the
yeah. I think it's kind of what I talked about of you have to not let yourself fail. And so with personal projects, a lot of times I'll make the deadlines and have the thoughts, and then I'll have to decide, okay, do I, again, rise to the occasion and just make it happen? Or do I start to augment my expectations and have lower expectations? So like this thing here, it's a zine that we were working on called Zeal Zine. I launched this project like 3 or 4 months ago. I worked with a project manager to set timelines to make sure everything was ready for Creative South, to make sure that I could sell online, that I could give the money to charity, and that we could be like a community-based reoccurring zine with like a website. None of that happened. All the artists hit their deadlines. It is here in my hands with some amazing work by our friend. Hold for it.
That was Doc, right? That was Doc.
Oh, this is you.
Oh, there's me.
Yep. By our friend Vic. So he was a part of this.
The one on the right, yeah.
This is a huge personal project that I wanted to do to give back to community and feature designers. It is so behind schedule. It is so behind timeline, but I've had to augment my expectations and say, okay, this is going to go out, but the goal of this was to bring together people in community and raise some money for charity. CanceledCon brought back people together into community way more than this would have, and so this had to get pushed. So this is coming out maybe later this month. I'm going to try to stick to that.
But that's one of the things that you do really well too, is like you have these projects and you're able to like when you contacted me about the Zeal Zine, it was just like, yeah, let's do it. And with CanceledCon, it was like, yeah, let's do it. So do you just have like this thing with people that you just kind of convince them to kind of like jump on, or do you, is it just like the good idea? I mean, I'm not sure.
It's the idea. I think it's the idea that if someone resonates with the why of something, they'll do pretty much anything. Like if someone agrees with like, why are we doing this? And it's something they're passionate about, and they're like, yes, that goal sounds awesome because I understand why. People will just go into it. I mean, if you try to volunteer for something that you're like, wait, why am I standing here? Like,
Yeah.
like waiting to like not let people in. But then if you understand like, oh, like there's security threats. Yeah. I'm going to stand here and like not let anyone in. So helping them understand of like, hey, I want to do this thing. It's going to be crazy, but the why is that we are doing X, Y, or Z. It just tends that people are like, yes, I love those. Or people just disappear and don't come up, and then you don't worry about it.
Right. Carolyn Rose asks, do you think establishing that an all virtual con can in fact be done could pave the way to it becoming something that happens more with the industry?
I'd love that. I would love that. I think that is definitely, yeah, I think it's an early thing. And I think CancelCon was different than what would happen in the industry. I think CancelCon was a little more variety show, a little more of like the like relaxed, chill, kind of like lower, not lower, like more underground grassroots kind of conference. Like Crop is like that, to where it's this like rad freaking like punk rock concert. And I think CancelCon was like that. And so I think right now there is a need and a space for people to come together that can't. Once we get back, maybe that will go away. Maybe that will still exist. I think it will still exist. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it paved the way for more online stuff to happen. That would be rad. I don't know. I like being online. I like the internet.
Katie asks, in school, our design history was very brief. Now that I have space to dive in deeper, what books, resources do you recommend? And you told me earlier that you actually taught design history in your...
I did. I taught design history for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm working on a like YouTube series, and this is a personal project again that I've already augmented my expectations that it's not going to happen for a while. But I'm working on a series to like walk through design history. I just felt like I needed to sanitize my hands right there. But the best book that I would recommend is Meg's History for Graphic Design. I think it's really interesting. It has a lot of great stories. It is like a college textbook, and it reads like a college textbook. But yes, read it or don't read it and augment your expectations and wait for my videos to come out. Don't do that. Please don't wait for me.
Maria Castro asks, what was one of the biggest challenges when you were putting together CancelCon? Actually, let's talk about that a little deeper. If you could talk about not only the challenges, but I know everything didn't go quite as smoothly, but that almost became almost like the personality that we embraced with the con.
Yes. I'm trying to think of like what the like big, so the big struggles for me were figuring out the technical stuff, was really hard. I'm really bad at organization. And so, I could show how there's too many emails on it of people that don't want to give out their emails. But so at a certain point, it was like just me, and I had emailed, I think I had 58 email threads going at the same time with people trying to organize and handle all this. And when like I talked earlier about like knowing your strengths, I know that my strength is like, I can do this. I cannot organize this. And so thankfully Sarah Stewart hopped in, and Logan and Victor, and a whole bunch of like helpful people. Peter Del Tondo, love you, Dad. He's the other dad. I don't know. It's like a metaphoric dad. But the hardest thing was the logistics, because I'm really bad at it. And so I was able to pass off a lot of that to you and to Sarah to help figure out. And yeah, a lot of the things went wrong. There were a lot of ideas that just had to get dropped, that we had to augment the expectation of that. There were a ton of time, like there were social graphics that weren't aligned. They had the wrong time zone on it. There were a bunch that had like a gradient on the bottom to like help block out the letters that I had a 1 point pixel stroke on. That was just black that I saw everywhere. And I was like, oh, that's my fault. And I totally like, that looks like crap. But you kind of just like roll with it.
Levi asks, you're big on creating context around your content, but how do you balance that? Most clients aren't going to want you to get freaky with their design work.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I was reading. Hi, Ben Stafford. I got excited that Ben was here.
Okay. Hey, Ben. Levi Jones asks, you're big on creating context around your content, but how do you balance that? Most clients aren't going to want you to get freaky with their design work.
Yeah, context doesn't mean freaky. Sometimes the context needs to be freaky, but sometimes the context needs to be like super boring. Let me hold on. Is it me? Okay, it's my face. Hold on. I'm going to pull up a thing that is different than everything that I've showed you. Just so I can cause I think a lot of people are like, oh, context, make it crazy. But that's not at all what I mean. And I maybe sometimes do a bad job of showing that.
And while you're looking for that, how did the church or the organization take it when you started doing those posters with the Easter posters that were something that they hadn't seen yet before? Were they receptive to it? Was everybody cool with it? Or
I had built a lot of relational equity and trust with the people that made those decisions for creative. Mm-hmm. And like I said, a lot of things are an investment that pay off with interest. That was me literally cashing out my 401k of any creative trust that I had. And it's on YouTube somewhere you can watch. So it wasn't just the posters and stuff. We did a full experience that people came to a service, and our goal for the service was to make them leave hurting, which is not what you hear churches trying to do. And so people left, and it was super controversial. People were talking to their friends about it. It was not well, it was not well received in the way that we wanted it to be. So yeah, that was kind of the takeaway from that. But okay, sorry, let me flip back to my screen real quick. So how do I present here? There we go. So this is an example of the D brand. There's a great
we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, not yet. Oh, sorry. Everyone else is.
No, I don't see it either on my screen. So
hold on. I think it'll catch up on the YouTube. How do I bring you over?
Oh, that's all right. If I can see it on the YouTube. That's
yeah, it should go up on YouTube in just a second.
I just want to make sure.
Let me make sure that it's going to. Again, everyone in chat, say hello to a friend, shake a hand while we're waiting. There we go. Okay, it's working. Cool. So this is an example of context and content that the context is not crazy for you, Levi. This is the D brand that we did. There's a great write-up on this. I'm brand new. We did for the church I worked at. And for this, we went in and thought there's too much show around everything that the brand was, right? The brand was trying to dress up something that was very simple. The vision of the church was that they were real with themselves, God, and others. And we wanted to communicate that is the thing. We want to tell people that we are real. And so we realized that in this project, the context needed to be the content, right? It wasn't something crazy. It wasn't something that we needed to shift and twist. We thought the idea that we want to communicate is that we are real. So why not strip everything else away and just let it be that, right? The context was that we are putting the idea of real forward, and everything else goes to the background. And so we created this system that was literally all black and white, typographic layouts. We made custom typeface. I hate the idea of creating a logo that becomes the representation. And so again, I wanted to create a context around the idea of being real. And instead of having a logo that represented that, we created an identifier system that any of these marks could be used as the official logo. It didn't matter because the context was none of this matters. None of this is show. None of this is dressed up or branded. It is so that the content can shine, which is our vision of being real. And that, again, implements, and none of this is crazy. All of this just implements because the context is what the content was. And then we started to augment to say, okay, the context that we need the youth stuff to be in is different than what we need for everyone else. The context needs to be a little more younger, engaging, a little brighter. And so then we started to augment and introduce color overlays, but still staying within the context of whatever the message is comes first. And this is my favorite thing. One of my favorite things I've ever done. We did a campaign that was just this, that we wanted the context to be the content. And so we ran ads on billboards, signs, posters, lawn signs, bumper stickers that literally were just we're not going to try to sell you on the idea of a context of what you should think a church should be. We're going to redefine what church advertising is. And so that was, so that's an example of something that isn't necessarily a crazy context.
Anna McCarty asks, can you talk about the ideation and execution process from when you first decided you wanted to do something about the canceled conference to when you went live with the canceled con? And a big part of it's actually recorded on Adobe Live.
It is like the majority of it is actually on Adobe Live. I think that I got the idea for the conference 2 days before. So like, okay, so just for reference, Canceled Con was what? 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that like I had the first thought and idea, and I have a screenshot somewhere. I think the first thought and idea of that was 3 weeks ago. And so it's not like we were like brainstorming and coming up with whatever. It was literally 3 weeks ago. And I think that week I went onto Adobe Live and was like, cool, let's start exploring logos and figure out what the voice of this conference is. Let's figure out the visual identifiers and the visual context. And you can actually watch that process on Adobe Live. And as you watch it, notice that what I'm making there and what I'm thinking and saying there is not what the conference actually was. And that's when I talked a little bit earlier. I realized that I needed to shift and go like, oh, I need to not try to make this a conference. Like I need to not visually communicate conference. I need to visually communicate fun, engaging, a hangout, a party in my room. Like I needed to, and so I started to shift the advertising. But yeah, you can watch the creation on Adobe Live and definitely keep an eye out for thinking about what it was actually like versus what was happening on that stream, because I was super off on that stream.
I just want to point out that now it's that whole answer was my face reacting to it on YouTube.
Oh, it's true. I forgot to cut back to me. I'm so sorry.
I'm just like
I'm looking at my screen and you look so dissatisfied in everything I'm saying.
Because I was trying not to look at my own face staring back at me.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Oh, I see Doc.
Hi, Doc.
Hi, Doc. I think people believe in Andrew. He says the why and the whys he brings to the table. That is auto buy-in for us. Yeah, I agree. Let's take a few more. Chandra makes implementation so easy. Women in Innovation did their logo redesign with the same concept.
Yep, I think, and this is my hot take. I'm working with a client right now, and I've tried to convince them so hard. I try to do this with all my clients, which I'm kind of maybe moving out of branding, but who knows? If you want to hire me, I'm not. I try to convince all my clients that logos will be irrelevant in 5 years, and they need to build a visual system that communicates their ideas and values instead of hanging it all on one mark. That's my hot take. Fight me.
So logos will be irrelevant. By the way, it's still my face on YouTube if you want to take it.
Oh, it shouldn't. It's just behind. I switched it back. There I am.
There it goes. All right. So you say logos will be irrelevant in 5 years? That's pretty.
It's bold.
It's
bold.
It's a pretty bold statement.
And again, like I said, like I think that as creatives, we should be constantly striving to define what's relevant. And I guess one of my things is to define relevance as like not logos and visual systems that communicate values and ideas through emotional connection. Good luck, everyone. and that's the thing, like that's one of those things that like it's a goal and a thought of how I could define relevance, but like at a certain point I'm probably going to either have to realize like logos are going to be around forever. What are you talking about, Andrew? They've been around since Egypt. Or be like, cool, I'm either going all in on this or I'm going to augment my expectation and be like, okay, I get it. We still need logos, but like maybe we need to scale that back a little bit. So I'm undecided right now. I'm still full steam ahead at who cares about your logo.
All right, cool. Let's see if there's a few more questions. Doc is putting a date on it. He says Saturday, March 14th was when he told me you had bought the domain for Canceled Con.
Cool. I probably had the idea a day before that. So yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So a couple of ideas, questions for me, because I think that's all for the questions on
Ooh,
the
Victor
chat.
questions. These are my favorite questions.
Victor questions. So I just want to point out, and we talked about it before, that one of my favorite parts of Canceled Con was like the eclecticness of it.
Yes.
Not only did we have speakers from different backgrounds, we had designers, we had florists, we had yoga instructors, we had a very mixed thing. But it wasn't only that; it was the fact that you were able to get people that we know, that we recognize for other conference, but do something totally different that we would expect. So we saw Logan and Sarah from Clade doing like the painting. We saw Mike Jones do barbecue sauce. We saw Gus from Adobe talk about creativity through the actual act of doing a fishing lure, a fishing hook. So was that something that you were trying to generate on purpose, or did you just pretty much tell everybody, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to trust you to do, to whatever it is based on our mission? Or how did that come about, that eclecticness?
Yeah, I totally did that on purpose. I think that like creatives are creative, and when you give them a platform, their creativity will inspire others to more creativity. And I think the most interesting things for me are the things that are inspired not by design or like any visual medium. Like I love Broadway because of the way it tells stories. And I talked about this on the stream, actually. There's a musical called, that's going to be a line that I say in everything I ever do. I just realized that I always am like, there's a musical called, there's a musical called The Band's Visit. And one of the last songs, this guy's singing about this woman that he's lost. And he says, my ears are thirsty for your voice. And I'm like, that is such a beautiful line. And for us as designers, right, people have these tactile experiences and emotional connections to things that I would never think of flipping up senses like that. That instead of being like, oh, your mouth is thirsty for like a taste. No, my ears are thirsty for your voice. That it's an audible and also like tasting kind of thing. And so I think that stuff like that then to me is not like, that's a beautiful line, I'm going to write a poem. It's like, cool, how can I create an experience that flips a sense into another sense that people like are not ready to experience? Like, how do I make someone like hear a taste? And those are questions and like problems that I think are worth exploring as creatives. And so when I brought people on, I'm like, I want you to do stuff that's not just like visual showing your work and like your normal talk. I want you to do something that shares what you're passionate about and hopefully inspires that passion in other people. And I mean, that's the same reason that we did the Zeal Zine. And why we called it the Zeal Zine is because I wanted to find topics that people were passionate about that then they could create things like this, right? Doc and Dylan Menges made this. Yep. And it's like, cool, they're passionate about community, and this is what community looks like to them. And hopefully this inspires more people to community. Jordan Iyett is an introvert. And again, I'm like, yes, the context is community. Go ahead, make whatever you want. And Jordan's an introvert. And so he made this piece that I put on the back cover that says, hey, I'm an introvert. Also, go follow Jordan on Instagram. He's an amazing illustrator. Yeah, I think that having different kinds of inspiration is really important. And I wanted to create a space in a conference that wasn't just something that was like tossed in, that like that was the focus.
Perfect. Awesome. And then my last question to you, Andrew, would be, and I think I know the answer to this. Can you name like one favorite moment or a moment during CancelCon that you were just kind of like, all right, this is kind of like, this is it. This is what I was hoping for, or maybe it was somebody that you saw, or
yeah. James White followed me on Instagram today, and I cried again.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, like James has been like, he's the reason that I got into design. Like, not in like, oh yeah, he's like my design hero. Like, he's definitely that. But like, he's like the reason that I was like, dang, creativity is really cool. Like, you can do stuff that like makes people experience stuff. And getting to like literally interview him and hang out with him and talk with him and like bring him onto my program. And I found a tweet that I put up on the stream from 2011 where I was like, I just got to hang out on a Google Hangout where James White was there. And like, I'm like, that's like the pinnacle. It's like design school Andrew, like losing his mind. And then on the other side, like, cool, I'm hosting it online hangout that James is now coming on to talk to me, like, and to talk to the audience that we've built. Like, that was crazy. And then, yeah, he like a little notification popped up and it's like, Signal, I just followed you on Instagram. And I was like, well, I'm done again. Like, I'm never going to not cry.
That's awesome.
And Sid, hanging out with Sid was like the best because I was so done. And Sid was the very last person up.
At the end, she was the last speaker.
Yeah. And we're good friends. And she literally told me before, I was like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I don't know, but we're just going to chill out. And I was like, yes. And so we got on and we talked longer. We talked for like 45 minutes. And I was like, I am just decompressing from the day.
That's awesome. Well, It was an amazing event to be a part of. I thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. It was an amazing event to watch because I also watched a lot of it on YouTube, just like everybody else, and participated in the chats. It was great interacting with friends that I hadn't seen in a while, like Doc and people who I just met there for the first time. So thank you for giving us that experience. We
Absolutely.
really appreciate that. And anytime you have any other crazy ideas, that it's a yes for me.
Yep.
Yes for a lot of us.
Okay, this is a crazy idea that I'm tossing into chat that somebody can steal because I don't think that I'm actually going to do it. This is me managing my expectations. Okay, so I had this idea, and it's not a thing anymore, so you have to do some work. You'd have to get some old newspapers and a whole bunch of silly putty. And remember how you can take silly putty and like put it on newspapers and then it would like pick up the ink? So they use hot plates now, and it doesn't do that, but it does do that at newspapers that are like before like maybe like before 2000, right? I did a bunch of research on this, which is why I'm not going to do anything. But what I want someone to do, and just credit me as an art director, I want you to get a bunch of old newspapers that have portraits of famous people and politicians, use silly putty to make indentations of those people's faces, and then re-put them together with different colors of silly putty to make new portraits in like a digital collage version, but it's lifted images and pictures on silly putty. So like the silly putty would be like different shades of like skin tones, and then you could do like the hair with like yellow silly putty, but it would be a collage of different people's faces just mashed together into a frame with silly putty relief. So somebody do that, please. It's been written on my bathroom mirror for like literally 3 months because I had the idea when I was in the shower and I was like, I have to write this down. So I'm not going to do it, but somebody please do it and just send one to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. We really
Thanks.
appreciate everything you do, and we appreciate you being here tonight, and also kind of like bailing us out when the Facebook link didn't quite work.
Always
so
ready.
Those of you. So if you want to watch this video again, you can. We're going to make it available on the AIGA Orlando Facebook feed, and then Andrew will probably keep it here on his YouTube channel as well.
Yep, it'll be up.
Yeah, so it'll be up. So if you have any questions for one of us, please let us know. So that's the end of the community meeting. Usually by this time, we thank you all for being here. You guys take some time to actually network and get to know each other a little bit better, ask each other questions about how you're doing. So I encourage you guys to continue to do that. Even if you can't do it on the chat here or wherever, reach out to each other, make some new friends, reach out through the Facebook feed, the Facebook chat as well.
Everybody drop your
those connections.
Yeah, drop your socials in chat. I'm actually gonna I'll just leave this.
That's a great idea.
I'll leave the stream going for like another 5 minutes or whatever after we get off. I'll just put it on a holding screen, and yeah, talk in chat, drop your social links, say hello to people, and yeah, follow each other, talk to people. I'm just going to leave the chat open.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to go ahead and cut to the Canceled Con holding screen because that's the only thing I have programmed in here.
Can I make one more announcement? Just a reminder.
No, Victor, you're done.
Yeah. We have, don't forget that the spot showcase is April 18th. We're going to have Debbie Millman joining us to be our speaker, and that's going to be streamed live as well. So please join us for that. We have a slew of virtual events that we're working on to continue to bring the community together. So hopefully we'll see you guys at one of those again. Thanks for coming tonight, and hopefully we'll see you at the next AIGA Orlando event, and hopefully in person sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. All right, bye everybody.